noble service to humanity. Today I will start my introduction with 3 simple questions. If I ask you what makes a good doctor, all of you will agree with that. A good doctor should have a reasonable knowledge, reasonable skills. He should do an honest, ethical medical practice, and he should be communicative. I'm sure most of you will agree. There are billions of good doctors around the world. But the second is, what makes you great? You say that doctor is a great doctor. What makes you great? And it's a tough call. And it needs a lot of commitment, lot of hard work. You have to do a lot of sacrifices. And you have to be very, very precise. You have to do a lot of, you should be very passionate about the work which you are doing. There are lakhs of doctors around the world who are great. Now the third one, which is the toughest of all. What makes you a legend? When you say legend, we know the Sachin Tendulkar in cricket and Roger Federer in tennis and then Messi in football. The legends, it's not easy. It's a different orbit altogether and it's a different world altogether. To reach that place, what makes you a legend? It all depends upon how many people's life you have touched and how many people's life you made happy and made them healthy as far as the doctor is concerned. And your contribution to the medical field has improved the health of millions of people around the world. You are a mentor to a lot of young cardiologists, and you are a role model to all others in the field. When we talk about legends, the numbers are reduced to hundreds. Now, if you want to see a legend in the field of interventional cardiology, he is sitting right with us. Let us give him a big round of applause and extend a warm welcome to one and only Professor Antonio Colombo from Milan, Italy. It's my pleasure, privilege and honor to welcome you, sir, to this august audience. Now, Professor Colombo is a professor of cardiology at Humanitas University in Milan. He is also the director of cardiac cath lab in Columbus Hospital. He is a professor of medicine in Columbia University, New York. He has over 4 decades of experience in the field of clinical cardiology, interventional cardiology, and structural intervention. He is a great human being, a great teacher, an academician, a mentor with an excellent, keen interest in clinical research. He is on the editorial board of most of the international journals. He has authored several books in most of the interventional cardiology textbooks. He has received several international recognitions. He has more than 500 articles. I repeat, more than 500 articles in very recognized international cardiology journals. So Dr. Colombo has performed several landmark trials which has benefited again millions of people around the world. To name a couple of things, one is his work on coronary thrombosis. When he put a stent, there was a high, it all started in 1977. So in 1980s, when he put the stent, a lot of people used to come back with stent thrombosis because we used to discharge the patient only with aspirin. He is the person who put forward the concept of dual antiplatelet therapy. He said that one antiplatelet is not enough. DAPT is necessary to prevent stent thrombosis, and that has benefited millions of people around the world, and that has made coronary angioplasty safer. The next one is his landmark work on IVUS. He has done IVUS in people coming with stent restenosis and has proved that the commonest cause of restenosis is incomplete expansion of the stent, and he put forward the concept of aggressive post-dilatation. These two has improved the outcome of angioplasty and has made the angioplasty safer. He is a highly respected guru to most of the interventional cardiologists over the world and has brought several innovation, ideas and concepts in the field of cardiology. When we listen to him, he makes things very simple and clear, and that is the quality of a great doctor, a great teacher. So ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Department of Cardiology, on behalf of my colleagues, and on behalf of HospitalChennai, I extend a warm welcome to the teacher of teachers, Professor Antonio Colombo from Milan, Italy. Sir, we are...
I can tell you many failures that I had. First of all, thank you for these wonderful hosting and congratulations to the team. Today we had a complex case and I was really impressed how people reacted immediately, putting in action whatever was the best way to treat the patient. So it's really, I'm very impressed. Honestly, I'm very impressed the way these emergencies was taken care effectively. So let's go to the topic of today. I will be a little bit technical, but I hope not too much. Angioplasty, we all know, is a balloon dilate an artery which is narrow and compresses the plaque and makes the artery large again. This was invented basically by Dr. Andreas Grunzig in 1977 with a lot of advantages. Nevertheless, and I was part of the beginning of angioplasty, not rarely the balloon created a fracture in the artery and the artery occluded. And that's the reason why when we were doing angioplasty in 1981-82, we always had bypass surgery readily available. And we were sending a patient to an emergency bypass at least one time a week. So it was really, and when the patient went to bypass, was usually an emergency with all the consequences of emergency procedure. Then came the stent. The stent was an unbelievable innovation, but not necessarily because prevented re-narrowing, prevented restenosis. Restenosis is something bad, but is not dramatic. The beauty of the stent is that when the artery was getting closed because dissected, placing a stent immediately the artery stayed open and we could avoid emergency bypass surgery. So stent saved lives. Then we had the problem of stent thrombosis. I was contributor with many other doctors. The discoveries are always a group discovery. It's like an army. There is one leading the flag, but there is a lot of other people behind the flag. So I have to thank many other people that contributed. The stent resolved the problem of occlusion and mitigated the problem of restenosis because there was still some late narrowing around the metal. Then came drug-eluting stent. Drug-eluting stent means that the stent has on top of metal a special medication named sirolimus, limus, various brands, that prevent re-narrowing by decreasing the hyperplasia, by decreasing the scar formation around the stent. And this was a major innovation because the re-narrowing after stenting was about 30%. With this medicated stent, went down to 10%, maybe even less. And a lot of innovation, so 3 milestones: angioplasty balloon, stent made of metal, and stent with the drug. But as I said, 10% is not zero. And when you implant stents in diabetics, long stents, the number 10% becomes 20%. So we are a little bit back to the past. We solved the problem, but not completely. And what can we do? We can implant additional stents, but one stent on top of the other is not always a good idea. And the stent is always a foreign body. If it's a very short foreign body in length, it's okay. But when you implant very long stents, you convert a flexible artery like the coronary into a rigid tube, which is not what the physiology has made the artery built. So now what came into our field in the last 2 or 3 years came a balloon able to deliver the same drug that is on the stent to deliver the drug to the wall without the need to implant a stent. So the question is, why not implanting a stent? But if we go back to the time of Andreas Grunzek, many times when you do a balloon dilatation, the result is very good, is very nice. As a matter of fact, we used to implant stents only when we had occlusions. So if the result after balloon dilatation is good and you have the possibility to deliver a healing drug without putting a foreign body, this is an advantage, because first you simplify the procedure, second you don't put a foreign body inside the artery, and third you may even make the medication to take after the procedure more simple. So this is the new innovation. This is not an innovation replacing the stent.
This interventional era, and then you found that a drug-eluting balloon delivering the drug, which has a similar effect on the vessel wall, without need for a permanent implant or a scaffold or a foreign substance inside the coronary vessels, is a very splendid idea. We've been adopting this ever since the Concept Medicals have introduced this in India for the last 8 years or so, and I've had at least some 600, 800 patients. As you rightly said, drug-eluting balloon has offered a remarkable therapy for those vessels which are even 1.5, 2 millimeters where the stent cannot be implanted, and I have always felt that this is opening an option for treating them more completely than what the surgeons can prefer. Having understood that, your concept, from your worldwide global experience, what are the situations you would put a permanent stent?
But I think we need to understand when the result of balloon dilatation is sufficient to allow usage of drug-coated balloon and not implanting a stent. A stent, as we know, is a scaffold that you put like in a tunnel to keep the tunnel stable. In the next year, we will have data by intravascular ultrasound, by OCT, by pressure gradient, which will tell us what parameters, what numbers will give us the security that the result is stable and we don't need a support, and in the other situation when the result is not stable and the support needs to be implanted. We have some knowledge because we are doing this experience with drug-coated balloon for the past 2 years, so we are getting data, publication will come, so we have not only intuition, we have some data. For example, if you do the dilatation with the balloon and angiographically the result is very nice, means the lumen is round, well opacified, you do intravascular ultrasound and you measure the area of the lumen and you see that the area is large enough, then this is a good starting point to say no need to implant a stent. I deliver the drug with another way. If you see that the area...
And I request Dr. Ayappan to felicitate our chief guest with a small gift of token.